Hey guys, it's Retro Rose here. Welcome back to Mushy Mondays. We play a cute cozy game and we're continuing our life now and forever. Um, Previously, we had just found out our mother had completely set up our room and we got a chance to decorate it. And we're just having a conversation with our mother about inviting Autumn and Tamarack out to dinner. So we'll see what's going on. There was a nodding and humming for another minute or something like that until, thank you, Rose and I are grateful for that. On saying your name, Mom made eye contact. A wordless understanding passed between the two of you. Mission accomplished. Well, come by and get her in just a few minutes. Thank you again. Goodbye. Mom jabbed her hand to the phone with gusto. Tamarack can join us. Miss Bayamon is a fan of the diner herself. She thought it'd be a lovely way for you young ones to celebrate the first day of school. Wow, thanks, Mom. That's one down. She winked. Luckily, I've had Mr. Lynn's number for quite a while now. He shouldn't be surprised by a call from me. I'll check if he's free to talk. Mom clicked along the phone to find the next contact, then it went straight to the side of her head again. Shocking to you and her, Mom got a response in a matter of seconds. Hello, Mr. Lynn. Good evening to you. I'm sorry if this is a bad time. No, everything is completely fine. Then a rapid conversation came to a pause on Mom's end, her lips pressed together in silence. It didn't last long. She was smiling again in less time than it took to tie your shoes. If you were good at doing that. That's wonderful. Oh, but the reason I called is that we are curious if Autumn might be able to join us for dinner tonight. I'm taking Rose and Tamarack out to a local diner. It'd be my treat. Another tiny pause happened, and her grin grew more over the space of it. She even laughed at something. Yes, I can imagine. A pair of parents, and chuckled at a couple of times more. At least you assumed Mr. Lynn was in a good mood. It'd be weird if Mom was amused by him being mad, and then wrapped up. Thank you, all right, goodbye. With a sense of finality, your mom stuck her phone into its home in her jeans. 2 for 2. Mr. and Mrs. Lynn are apparently entirely used to these kinds of requests. He had joked that whenever he gets a call on his own phone, there's at least a 50% chance it's actually for Autumn. Was that why he finished the conversation so fast? Maybe it had to do with his job. Either way, Autumn's dad got stuff done. I'm sorry for Mr. Lynn having a lobby that, wait, what? I'm sorry for Mr. Lynn having to lobby that many queries, but it worked out for us. That means Autumn can come along. At dinner with your mom and you, it happened basically every single day of your life. A dinner at a diner you'd never been to before didn't happen much, but a diner with Tamarack and Autumn had never happened before. Thank you for asking, Mom. Of course. Mom smiled as you did. We shouldn't keep them waiting. Put on your sweater. I'll get my scarf. It would be chilly out there, and I'm starving. Same for you. Your stomach was huge and empty. If you didn't eat soon, it might suck you in. You did everything you could to think of doing before leaving as fast as you could do it. Then you were braving the unknown in search of sustenance and your friends. Don't judge me. Oh, you were outside at night. That's not the same as walking around during the daytime. The orange-hued street lamps glowed like torches. The formerly orange trees turned an unnatural purple, and the tarmac expanse of the cul-de-sac could easily be perfectly still. Endless, deep lake. If you trip, you could fall in and disappear forever. So cool. Ideas for exciting nighttime games were already filling your head, but Mom wouldn't let you play in the dark. You shook off the daydream. Night dream? Or would a night dream be a normal dream? Either way, you focused on not being left behind. You and your mom passed through the gate around your yard and approached the rectangular gray house for the second time that day. Even in a limited light, a pop of sparkling color stood out. Tamarack was already there. She elected to wait outside with her scarf and bag in tow. You made eye contact across the grassy patch between your home and hers. Rose. Flinging her hands in the air, she zoomed out from the porch to meet you. Tamarack went so fast, her floppy boots threatened to slip off her feet. Tamarack. You ran over to barrel into a hug. You moved towards each other with the unbreakable pull of super magnets, and you clung together as if you were stuck like that too. Tamarack rocked from side to side and hanging on as best as her short arms could. Out of everybody in the world, she had to be one of the top people to hug, very nice and snuggly. Mom trailed behind, letting out a noise that was part laugh and part huff. I hadn't realized how urgent this reunion was. It is. Hi, Rose, and your mom. Thank you for letting me come. You're very welcome, Tamarack. We're happy to have you join us. We're going to get Autumn, too. Yeah. Well, I gotta go. Now, a trio, you strolled down the sidewalk until you went completely around the opposite of the curve. Mom tapped the doorbell a single time. The sound of it was a speedy ding-dong, and then it was done. Even the Autumn house got straight to the point. You were left huddled on the dark porch for less than a minute. The one who answered wasn't Mrs. Lynn. It wasn't either of the adults. It was Autumn himself, standing in the open doorway. He was all lit up from behind. They cast harsh shadows over his features. Autumn's face was still amazingly bright on its own, like magic. Hey, I haven't seen you two in forever. We missed the whole best part of the day. Oh, hi, Autumn. Yeah, I'm a hugger. And you held on tight. Whoa. The sturdy fabric of his jacket crinkled resistantly against your squeeze. His notebook in the secret pocket poked your stomach, and the fur encircling his face scratched your nose. But what you noticed most was that under all those layers and snags, Autumn was a soft kid. He patted your head with a gentle rhythmic movement while resting a cheek against your head. You were both quite comfortable there. Wish you hadn't been gone before. We did a lot of cool stuff without you. And settled on his hips as he leveled a challenging glance directly at you. Good. Now there's going to be something interesting to hear about. His gaze lifted high so he could greet your mom, too. Thanks for getting me for dinner, Miss Smith. Thank you for coming on such short notice. That's nothing. I've got lots of time. I could come over whenever. Good to know. And so everybody invited to the dinner was there. Together, you went to the center of the street again. Mom unlocked her car. Tamarack asked for the middle again, and she got it. Autumn scratched his head over that one. It was kind of mysterious without her explanation. Tamarack only wanted a window seat in school. He was cool with not being stuck in the middle himself, though. Rapidly, the car rolled into motion. Tree after street post after tree flew past. You couldn't see anything else. Unfortunately, Mom also wasn't sure what she was looking at. She had trouble figuring out exactly where the local diner was. The radio had to stay off. This required the utmost focus. That didn't mean it was a silent drive. It was loud, actually. Sitting tall at the edge of his seat and gesturing wildly, Autumn offered his best advice on which road to take and when. At the same time, Tamarack was bouncing in her seat and shouting out stuff she remembered seeing on the way to the diner the first time she'd been there. Neither of them could give directions very well. It was wrong or entirely impossible to understand unless you were within their own heads. Mom was patient, though. She never gave up. In the end, on the outskirts of Golden Grove, you found the place. Cheers, foot stomps, and hand claps filled the car when Autumn and Tamarack spotted a massive lit-up sign saying the diner table. It had to be what you were looking for. Diner was the name. Mom noticed that, too. She wound the steering wheel to turn into the parking lot, a weary smile playing on her face. The diner table, not the dinner table. Someone didn't get an A on their spelling test. Wow. the name had you laughing. It's always been named that. That doesn't mean it wasn't an accident originally, but it's memorable at least. I'm gonna watch. The car came to a stop under the glowing of the building. There were no lamps in the parking lot, but that only made the area more noticeable. Light poured from the front windows larger than you were. It was a beacon of hospitality deep in the forest and high on a mountain. After a quick head count, all four of you went on. Mom led the way to the entrance. She held the door open and swept out her other hand as if to say, after you. Oh, this is so cute. Autumn nights at Golden Grove were such a bite. You felt a comfortable shiver going from the outside of the diner to the inside. It was warm and toasty there and even smelled warm. The inviting scent of hot food hit you first, with a whiff of smoke underneath. You could picture the grill with charred steak and hamburger sizzling. And there was coffee too, which somehow always smelled burnt, even though it was mostly liquid. Maybe that was why the coffee was so dark. Someone found a way to overcook water, and other people decided to drink it, including your mom, who never had morning without it. Impatiently shifting in place, you cranked your neck to glance around more. Who else decided to be there at the diner table on a chilly Monday? A man in a trucker hat jabbing a knife into a thick cut of ham. 3 sweater-clad women, each with a mug in hand, and some teenagers huddled in the back booth and splitting a stack of pancakes. I can't imagine splitting a stack of pancakes. I don't like pancakes, I like waffles. Mostly though, it was nobody. 10 times more people could fit, maybe 20 times, so you had a clear view of the room. The diner table was full of different colors. You could list off greens, orange, blues, yellowish ones, but all of them were dark or faded, so it didn't feel colorful. Kind of like your classroom had grown up and gotten old and sleepy. That's funny. You didn't mind that. Nothing could always be new. To your left, Tamarack had settled a little from her frenzy in the car. As thrilling as it was to visit a restaurant, you could only do it if you behaved. At least that was your guess. You knew Mom wouldn't want you to act accordingly. On your right, Autumn stood nonchalantly, slowly shifting his weight from one foot to the other. There was nothing interesting to see there for a boy like him. Except for you. He kept smirking whenever he noticed you looking. As soon as a tall lady with tall hair came over from the kitchen to the main counter, she said she was the host and would show you the table. Oh, I wonder what she looks like. Ah, okay, it's Mom. Your mom negotiated for a booth instead. Plenty were open after all, and the woman agreed to those terms and grabbed some menus off the stand. Thank you. Mom let the employee lead from there, and for her, the biggest treat of going out to eat wasn't the food, it was that once she was at the restaurant, her work was done. No cooking or cleaning for a change. She didn't have a mom or dad or grandparents around to do that for her, so letting strangers she had to pay to do it was the best she could get. The hostess took you further into the restaurant past the sweater gals and not too far back as the pancake pals. She left the pile of menus on the table, thanking you for stopping in, promised your server you'd be there to help soon, and walked away in a matter of seconds. Well, let's get comfortable. Me and Rose will sit together, and it leaves the other one for you two. Okay. Yes, Miss Smith. That was so unfair. You could sit with your mom anytime. Tamarack was the first to clamber into a bench. She went to the very end of it and dumped her bag onto the cushion. Autumn took off his jacket before fitting himself beside her. Mom slid into the mute red seat with the multicolored geometric patterns across the top. Then she patted the outer spot for you to take. Got into the booth next to her. Oh, they're so cute. Tamarack moves herself by investigating the area in front of her. She had the same precision as searching through the forest. She made her discover a soup spoon and began fiddling with it. Autumn rested his threaded hands on the tabletop. He leaned forward very slightly, a little bit like an interview. He was going to be asking you questions, or maybe he was preparing himself for your mom to evaluate his behavior. That was her job, but Autumn didn't know that. This is nice. She spoke quietly while pursuing her options. The diner table had unwieldy menus as long as your entire arm. Mom didn't bother holding it upright. Instead, she flipped through the laminated pages with the menu lying flat. There was a lamp directly above your booth. It reflected blindingly off the plastic, but between the glare, you caught glimpses of colorful pictures dotted in between the text. Eggs and sausage, French toast, dust with powdered sugar, a basket of chicken strips, steak, mashed potatoes, a bright green salad, and more. Diner food is its purest form. Your curiosity was piqued. There was a lot of options. Look, there's a kids section. That'd be a good place to check, though. Since it's a special occasion, it's okay to get an email, even if the pricier ones. What? You are almost never allowed to do that. That goes for you too as well. Don't worry about anything and get whatever food you prefer. Thank you. Hey, any food? Treating other kids? Mom was really in a good mood. Did she get a big bonus for moving or something? You could only imagine. But not for long, because another person approached her table. Yusuf? Hello, I'm Yusuf. I'll be your waiter tonight. Thank you for coming. Hi, great. Yusuf had a warm brown skin and warmer brown eyes. Though his hair was cool black, he kept it in a neat ponytail. A heavy buckle-strap apron with a checkered pattern hid his normal clothes, and a short beard covered much of his facial features. It didn't hide his welcoming smile. Can we get a look at him? He had a generic notepad and pressed a pen to it. Posed for taking notes. That made you think of Autumn right away. Dang. Because I want to see more characters. They're like really well drawn. You only realized you started staring at him when the smile curled up on Autumn's face. He probably got why you were looking without needing to say so. You've been thinking of him and he knew it. That was the only fair. Autumn thought a lot about you too. The secret joke passed, and Autumn turned away from you to address the server. Hey, since when was he that casual with adults he didn't know? From the way Autumn was with your mom, one-worded greeting came as a complete shock. Only to you, though. Yusuf responded in an even less expected way. Hey, this is not the unusual company for you. That's right, things are changing around here. You've forgotten for a second that Autumn knew everybody and everything, even the random waiter at the diner. Are they? Yusuf's eyes narrowed in consideration for a second. Next, Mom got special interest from him, though a different kind. Instead of looking sharply, his expressions opened up in wonder. How do you know Autumn, if I may ask? You may. We're his new neighbors, Mom said with a pleased tap on the menu in front of her. We moved into Golden Grove just yesterday, actually. Immediately, Mom added a clarification. She batted her hand in the air between herself and you. Yesterday, for me and them. She then pointed to Tamarack on the opposite side. Your mom continued. Moved in a bit before us. She's not. Neither is Autumn, of course. I did get permission to take them out to dinner, however. It's all above board. Tamarack swooshed the silver spoon into her cheek. She grinned at Yusuf as best as she could, with the utensil pressing her cheek down. There was an immediate shift in the man's attitude. He took the pen from the paper and instead folded his broad arms. Talking to the server or someone behind the counter was really different than talking to them when they weren't working. Probably because when a person is doing their job, everything they were meant to say was decided by a boss or a whole giant company. And all of a sudden, it seemed like Mr. Yusuf, the waiter, had clocked out. Welcome to town. Can I ask your names? Oh, sure. I'm Opal Smith, and this is my child, Rose. I'm Tamarack. I saw you before with my Omi and Opa. Opa liked your beard. I thought that might have been you. Give your Opa many thanks. His beard is nice as well. I am Mr. Kayan Yusuf. I also live in Golden Grove. He recited an introduction completely the way Autumn would have wanted him to, well, besides spelling it out. Mr. Yusuf might have questioned how you knew Autumn first, but you were wondering the same thing about him. He lifted the notepad in front of his chest, returning to being a waiter. Can I get you anything to drink? Water's just fine. Yeah, you could have said that for her. It didn't matter how big of an occasion it was. Paying for a drink at a restaurant was still going too far. Then let me rephrase. What I mean to say is, please get a drink. It'll be on the house. Oh, You don't need to do that. I know, but I would like to do it. I'm only filling in as a server tonight. I'm allowed to make those decisions. Do you own it, the diner? Even when insisting on something, Mr. Yusuf had a gentle way of putting his words. He could have been a narrator for a storybook, no problem. We are all neighbors in a town this small. Autumn nodded along and even gave a thumbs up. They were in cahoots. Was there some kind of secret welcome committee in Golden Grove? And was everybody a part of it? What's the harm in being hospitable to those you'll be seeing often? If you want to return a favor, come back another day. Well, you make a good point. She was being honest. Your mom would have told him if he was saying nonsense. The only reasonable arguments could be tolerated, and Mom was practical, not a stickler. If you're sure, I'll have a cup of water and a root beer, extra ice. I haven't had that in years. I feel festive. Mom's newly chipper mood was contagious, and Yusuf gave a rumbling chuckle. It's a festive day, is it? I imagine you're celebrating your new home. I could add a scoop of ice cream to that. She boggled at Yusuf and his many sweet suggestions, though it was with a smile. There was no reason to go through the process of accepting a kind gesture again. Mama embraced it wholeheartedly. Root beer float it is. Root beer float? He repeated her words as he wrote them down, speaking even more softly than before. Well, your mom, a person you never order anything exciting than a water with a slice of lemon your entire life, was getting a root beer float. Having it confirmed that drinks would be free brought new life to Autumn. He continued to put Yusuf in separate category from other adults. No best behavior required. The gloves were completely off now, just not literally. He leaned over on one elbow and put the accent voice he had used whenever he talked about Baxter. Waiter, get me a hot chocolate, and I want whipped cream and chocolate syrup on top. After how indulgent Yusuf had been with Mom, Autumn's request was met with a flat skepticism. What, really? Autumn returned Yusuf's stare with $1 million smile, and it was easy to act like you were rich when nothing had to be paid for. Mr. Yusuf put a hand to the table and lowered himself towards the young boy like it was some kind of negotiation. In a way it was. I will give it to you, but the powder will be stirred into the water. Water? Is he lactose intolerant? Your mom blinked and stammered. That was news to her. It was news to you, too. Yusuf stood tall once again, and he told the facts straight. He is. Mr. and Mrs. Lynn only let him have hot chocolate occasionally because of that, and only when it's made with water. Oh. You two had in common, you guessed. They may not be here in person, but I will still follow their way. Fine, you can make it with water. You just witnessed an incredible downside of being so well known. Everybody was aware of what you weren't supposed to be doing and could call you out on it. Though Autumn was a composer, not a quitter. Can I still have the whipped cream? That was the most important part. Autumn squeezed his hands together. The person at an interview pose morphed into a pitiful beggar act. His big shot rich guy attitude sure hadn't lasted long. Yusuf remained calm in the face of such pleading. Merely scratched his hairy chin. Because I respect your parents, I won't give their son a full cup of milk. But because I'm not your parent, I can look past a bit of whipped cream today. Thanks, Uncle? What? I have questions. Hot chocolate secured. Autumn smoothly transferred his tilt from his right elbow outward towards the world to the left, the one inward to the table. Hey, he's not my real uncle. Kids he knows just call him that. Like how Tamarack's Omi is everybody's grandma. Oh, wow. Really? You gotten a new granny. Now you might have an uncle too. He was already offering presents. Your small family of mom and you were getting a lot bigger. Tamarack couldn't remain quiet any longer. You were honestly surprised that she waited as long as she did. Wide-eyed and rambling, Tamarack went through the process of requesting a special drink. Do you have tea? Yes, various types. Then I want chamomile or apple cinnamon, please. Okay. And it has to have sugar and milk in it, of course. Do you have any honey? He's fat as notes, one after another, keeping track of what she didn't want. Likely would have been easier. He laughed about it. Yes, I would bring out everything you have for your teas. The young lady swished her spoon around like a conductor's baton, and the drink order had been a grand opera. Woo. That's so cute. Wonderful. You should get something fun. It's the first day of school. It's the only reason to celebrate. Now, what do you want, Rose? Just remember your parent is here, and she wouldn't want you to get anything with too much milk either. Lactose intolerant as well? Exactly. I'll keep that in the back of my mind then. Even if Rose finds her way here without you, I won't serve them milk. That's okay. I wouldn't do that anyway. I know. I still appreciate how responsible everyone in this establishment is. You too, huh? It's a bad club to be a part of. Oh well. Sorry, kids, but you should go on, Rose. There are plenty of options. Ooh. You pointed to the menu at what you wanted. And what you wanted to select was, what do I like to? Cup of water, cola, lemon lime, cold apple cider, ginger ale, a Shirley Temple. Making a decision, you press your finger along the list of drinks. Your waiter squinted down at the shiny page Mom used for her more convenient vantage point of getting a message for him. Let's see. Rose would like a Shirley Temple. A Shirley Temple. After a nod, Yusuf transferred the pen to the same hand and that held the notepad, and he lowered them both. I'll return shortly with your drinks. Please take a minute to browse the menu. He left you there, leaving a wide, purposeful stride. Mom watched him walk away. A small town hospitality is a real treat, isn't it? Yeah. They're so cute. He quietly glanced through the menu option. Well, I said meal, that was right. Meal options during the time the man who had the ham and the hat left. The ham was gone. He still had the hat. Then Yusuf reappeared to serve a round of drinks. He put in the diner order before he left and enjoyed his gifts. And it was awesome. You chugged your Shirley Temple, wondering if it could get a refill if you finished fast. Probably not. Mom would say no. Autumn knocked back his mug of hot chocolate with gusto and got a whipped cream mustache for his efforts. Tamarack poured in so much milk, sugar, and honey that her tea spilled over to the top of the cup. She got the level back down by bringing her face near the table and sucking up the drink without touching the glass. Finally, she made use of the spoon she had been cradling the entire time to mix the sweet slurry. A little more drip down the sides. Your mom savored the once-in-a-decade root beer float as slowly as possible. She didn't care if the ice cream melted. Nothing was loud, fast, or busy at the diner table. A person pretty much had to take it easy in a place like that. There was no other way to be. When it arrived, the main course tasted okay. Food was food. You'd rather it not be hungry. Tamarack and Autumn stuck to grown-up appropriate conversations over dinner like what you learned in class. There were a lot of things kids could only talk about with each other. Mom shared all about her day, including the excited story about how she thought there was a mouse in the... Oh my God. But after catching it underneath one of those movie boxes, it turned out to be a larger than normal heap of dust. She insisted that the bad lighting in there could have fooled anyone. Then the food was gone, sort of. Finish everything was too much. You were able to finish every bite. Your mom didn't. Mom hardly touched half of the side that came with her home-style meatloaf. That's so funny because my mother loves meatloaf, and she planned to take them home to add to her lunch tomorrow. In a rare event, Autumn and Tamarack and you were all a total match. They left no crumb nor a single drop either. The plates that were empty got stacked and used napkins were piled on top. Your mom made sure the table was neat, as messy and dirty stuff could be. The tower of dishes caught your waiter's attention, and Yusuf approached your booth once more. He always had something in hand when he stopped by. This time it was a frayed faux leather folder. Yusuf placed it on the table, and he got a better look at them, and in the gold letters across the top it said, "Thank you." He brought the check before Mom needed to ask for it. "Hello, I hope you enjoyed your meals." You were wonderful. Thanks for asking, and thank you again for the drinks. Mom praised both a grin to Yusuf's face, and the local waiter toyed with a buckle on his apron, straightening it like a Medal of Honor pinned to his chest. He'd served his customers well that night. "Thanks for coming in. You pay at the front." "Sure, I'll handle it." "Oh, can we get a couple to-go boxes?" "Yes." "That's great. One more question." Mom lowered her voice into an exaggeratingly strained whisper, as though the people in the next booth over were secretly listening to the conversation. "The diner table?" She seriously needed an answer to that. Is it a pun on purpose or did someone miss the end? Grimace, Yusuf glanced over his shoulder and shared her pain and her concern about being hurt. I would not have chosen that if it had been up to me, but yes, that is the intended name. There you have it. That's all. Thank you for your gracious help tonight. Yusuf, we feel extremely welcome. Glad to hear. Good night, everyone. Aw. Bye, thank you. Yusuf offered one last friendly smile and then took the pile of dishes and the 2 cups off to the kitchen. Could you stand up for a minute, dear? I need to get past. You scooted out of your seat as she asked. Mom had a few words as she got to her feet. Stay in the booth while I'm gone. I'll come right back. Then we'll pack the leftovers and head home, okay? Yep. She left in the opposite direction Yusuf had gone. Her footsteps were mute thumps against the thin carpet. You had the booth to yourself then. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. Thank you for joining me on today's Mushy Monday, and I'll catch you next Monday.